Today on the news and why it matters, leftists mock Jeff Bezos for donating, only $100 million to homeless families. Jeez, what a tightwad. Also, the Supreme Court blocks the subpoena for Trump's financial records. We got a lot coming up, and it starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, she, her. Today I am joined by Stubergear, Pat Gray.
They.
The they.
Mm-hmm.
The they. Okay, Pat Gray.
Me, my.
What?
Were you questioning my pronouns?
I
Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
I just wanted
I'm offended on your
I just wanted to make sure I had it right. Okay, the they, me, my, and Aaron Cohen.
I saw how you judged him.
Got a lot to get into, obviously. We are already on Thanksgiving break here. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So my family and I, over the little break that we're getting here, we're going to practice shooting. My dad actually just got a big gun safe to house all of his guns, and but he also has iTarget Pro for all of his guns. So you don't have to always go to the range, go spend money on range fees, ammunition. It gets to add up. It gets to be really expensive. So what we like to do, in addition to shooting the guns outside in the country, because that's what you do, we also like to train with iTarget Pro. You put in the little laser bullet into your gun, and it has all the specific calibers available. You put it into your gun, and that way you can dry fire. You can actually learn your weapon, and of course it also has a little handy dandy app that you can download on your phone that it will keep track of how well you are shooting and if you are actually getting the target. It's how I introduced my son to my firearm, my little 380, and he used it and practiced, and he was actually terrifyingly good. He was a really good shot. But you can go to itargetpro.com, train at home, and as an added bonus, you don't shoot holes in your couch. itargetpro.com. Use promo code NEWS and you will get 10% off plus free shipping. That is itargetpro.com. Use promo code NEWS. So Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Is it Bezos or Bezos?
I'll go Bezos.
Bezos?
Bezos, yeah.
Bezos, Jeff Bezos, of course, the richest man in the world. He gave nearly $100 million to charity last week to help combat homelessness. And, obviously it's not enough. It went to 32 organizations in 23 states that help homeless families, with each organization receiving between $1.25 million to $5 million. Obviously, we look at this and we're like, this is what America's all about, right? Like this is the great thing about capitalism and charity and the free market, is that people who make a lot of money have the ability to, donate to the charities, the organizations that they see fit. Combating homelessness, obviously a really good thing, not so great to the left. The left is now mocking him for not paying enough. Jeremy Corbyn, who, whatever, you're over in the UK, you have your own problems. But he said that's 0.09% of your net worth. Just pay your taxes. Yeah, because all of our taxes have really solved homelessness here in America, particularly in California, Seattle, Austin, Texas even. We've done a really great job of utilizing our tax dollars to pay for homelessness. So, shame on Bezos for not donating more than $100 million to help homeless families still.
It's incredible. Well, he has donated more. First of all, he donated
It's not enough.
$32 billion. He donated it to his ex-wife, who was homeless when she moved out. So that is another homeless donation I think he can deduct. Look, we've spent trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. You might remember the number, Pat. We've talked about it before. But since LBJ, we've just poured money into this problem of poverty, and we've seen that it does not affect the rate whatsoever.
$23 trillion.
$23 trillion.
Incredible.
And we've done, and for that, the rate of poverty has not moved an inch.
It's almost exactly the same as it was in 1964.
Yeah, it's not how it works. It's
amazing.
It's unfortunate. I wish it was that easy. It would be great. We can just all throw money at these problems and they would just go away, but it does not seem to work. Charity does work. It works pretty well. And if you can get people like Bezos to donate this sort of money, it can make a big difference. Look, Bill Gates, I don't agree with all of the things that he does or donates his money to, nor should I. It's his money.
Right.
He can do whatever he wants with it. But he has done a lot of good as well. And these guys can step up and make a real difference. It's funny, the left sees all of this impact on them spending their money on politics and how they're going to change the world and they're going to control all the governments and all the elections. But they don't see it when they spend their money on other things. There's almost like no effect. They get no credit for donating their money to different, more worthy causes.
Right.
So, I mean, look, I think it's awesome. You know, about 2/3 of that $100 million is from me. Because we get about 15 packages a day from Amazon.
It's true.
So it's my donation. I feel like more than his. But it's an amazing thing. It's to be something that you want to incentivize that behavior.
Right.
Don't ruin his life when he makes a donation. Encourage those things because if he gets into a rhythm where he really likes giving, I mean, he could change millions of people's lives.
Yeah, Pat, it would seem like the left and the right could all at least agree that government is the worst at spending our tax dollars, right? But we can't even agree. Now it's just pay your taxes and trust the government to adequately put everything where it needs to go.
And we see every year, every day of every year, how the government squanders our money. Jeff Bezos doesn't have to give one penny to any homeless organizations. He doesn't have to do it. I don't care who you are. $100 million is a lot of money. Plus, you think that's the only donation he's given?
Right.
No, the guy gives all the time, just like Bill Gates does, just like Warren Buffett does. Those are all leftists who have their own causes, and they all donate enormous amounts of money. And for anybody to disparage a $100 million donation, that's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, Aaron.
I don't know this for a fact, but I would think he does probably pay a lot more in taxes than most of the people criticizing him based on how much
They
he's
act
worth.
like he pays literally
it's not like he's
$0
just
in
getting off for
taxes.
free, but it goes to, we see how people who are millionaires or billionaires, how they're demons. They're just the worst people in the world. You hear Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, anybody who has more than a certain amount of money, which they have plenty themselves, but those people get demonized like they're the reason that poor people exist because there are some rich people. And so they get blamed no matter what they do. They're going to get blamed for all the problems in society because they were successful by whatever business they created, whatever thing they've contributed to society. And this is just another example of that.
Well, and Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders can't say millionaires anymore.
No, not anymore.
No, they
Because
can't.
they are. So
That's
they
fine.
just conveniently leave that one
Millionaires
off.
are okay. Billionaires, the worst.
Yeah, once you cross that dollar threshold into billionaire, you're done.
There's a scary thing that happens with the government, too, when politicians start saying certain groups of people shouldn't exist. Not a lot of positive outcomes to that one in history. And they're saying that about billionaires right now. They shouldn't exist. And in the Corbyn tweet, I always find it to be very revealing. I think what they're referring to in this saying, just pay your taxes, is the fact that you get these stories about Amazon where they are not, where the Amazon pays zero taxes and blah, 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 blah. What do you do when you pay taxes? You pay taxes, you look at the law, and you pay according to the law. Yeah. If Amazon has broken the law, then do something about it. Don't whine about it. They haven't. The issue is they haven't broken the law. They followed the law. Amazon for a very long time was losing money. I mean, they lost a lot of money over a long period of time as they were building that business, even though they had high revenue numbers. And there are these tax shelters and all these things that they have built. Most of it's not even that complicated, honestly. There's a high cost of doing business for Amazon. But all that being said, everything they've done has been within the law. If they broke the law, then do something about it. You want to audit them? I'm sure they're being audited constantly. It's just like this easy way to say, well, he's not paying his taxes, because it makes it seem like he's not doing his part. Well, I'm sure he's paying a fortune in personal income taxes. In many, many ways. But the Amazon thing, too, it's like, well, you guys set up these rules. You guys are the ones that had all these carve-outs for your little friends. You guys are the ones who built these thousands of pages of tax code that people get to take advantage of. It's not us doing that. That's you. We wanted a flat tax. We wanted something very simple that people could write on a postcard. Remember that whole shtick?
You would think if somebody was mad at Amazon for not paying taxes, you'd be like, well, at least he's donating $100 million. Maybe that sort of absolves him of that. But I guess not.
Right. Well, that's what's so terrifying to me is that the left really seems to have ramped up their class warfare, and it's like, since when are we supposed to care how much money people make and how much they're giving to this cause or that cause or whatever? It's just, I don't know, it continues to shock me that people think that it's their business to say, you should be paying more, you should be doing this with your money, you should be doing that with your money.
The best thing somebody who's extremely wealthy can do is help and give to the poor. That's what he's doing. What else do you want him to do at that point?
Yeah, there's a there's a common misperception that capitalism is like a pie, and if I take too much, then you don't have enough.
Right.
Capitalism is like a bakery, where you continually bake pies for yourself and eat as much as you want and give some of it to others if you want. And usually people do all of that. I mean, Americans are the most generous people on the face of the earth, where we give over $300 billion a year to charity. About $50 billion of that comes from the government. The rest comes from private individuals and corporations. So Americans are the most generous people in the history of this planet, and Bezos is among them. For anybody to disparage all that is really despicable.
It's almost like we've screwed ourselves. We're so generous that we've screwed ourselves now because everyone keeps expecting more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
It's like if you give a mouse a cookie. Ugh. All right.
I've never done that. What happens?
Oh, well, then he's going to want a glass of milk.
Okay, all right.
And then if you give him the glass of milk, he's going to need a napkin to wipe his mouth.
Right.
Well, just give him the napkin. What could go wrong after that?
Well, but then he has spilled crumbs and he's going to need a broom.
I just wanna see how many you could do. I just want to see how far you get into this.
You lost me at the broom. But I'm pretty sure there's a broom. The Supreme Court has blocked a House subpoena directing President Donald Trump's accounting firm to turn over several years' worth of financial documents. Now, this is only kind of a temporary stay. So the president's lawyers have until December 5th to file an appeal and to basically explain why they don't think that the president should have to hand these over. But it's just like if it's not Russia, it's impeachment. If it's not impeachment, it's his financial records. I mean, how many things are they going to try? But Stu, what do you think of this ruling by the Supreme Court?
I mean, I don't think if you're running for president of the United States that you should be forced to give up your tax returns. They're your own private thing. I think you should probably do it.
It's not a law, by the way.
It's not a law. They tried to make it a law in California. Which is obviously just trying to manipulate it so that Trump has to do it or not be on the ballot in California.
As if he's going to win in California.
Right, who cares anyway, right? He could probably get away with that one. I think when it comes to this, we're talking about an investigation, right? And obviously investigators should be able to access these things if they think there's a crime that's been committed. The problem here is that I don't think that they even believe it. They don't really necessarily have a reason to believe it. They just want them because they can leak them. And I mean, it seems so overtly political at this point. And Trump benefits from the way the media treats him. We were talking about this with, there was some, sexual harassment allegations that came out about some random person recently in the news. I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't like a high profile celebrity. And I was talking to Glenn about this off the air on radio, and it's like, to me, a lot of times this stuff, when it's like this secondary person you kind of barely know, a lot of times it's more believable because why would you target like that random guy that we barely even heard of? Where it's like with Donald Trump, it's almost, I can't even consider whether these are real allegations because of the fact that everyone makes so many false allegations against the guy, it's impossible to sort through it. And I think that's the same thing here. Like, if he's done something wrong, everyone wants him to be punished for it, I think. But on the other hand, it's like, how can you buy any of this? It seems so politically motivated. And they're going to go through this guy's, multinational corporation to try to find one thing that they're going to say is the worst thing ever and try to impeach him all over again over it. It just doesn't seem legitimate at this point. And there has to be some protections, even if you're the president, when it comes to your own personal business. I mean, his life is not an open book just because he's got a good job.
Yeah. Pat, apparently this all stems, well, it doesn't all stem from this, but they're trying to use some sort of cover because Michael Cohen apparently testified that Mr. Trump inflated his total assets when it served his purposes and deflated his assets to reduce his real estate taxes.
I mean, we know Donald Trump exaggerates.
So,
I don't
but
think
also
there's any question he actually did that.
I don't think there's any question
everyone
about
does that, right?
He did that. That's why I'd love to see his tax returns. It's none of my business, but I'm really curious. I'd love to see his tax returns and see what he's made and if he really is, worth $9 billion.
That would be interesting.
It would be interesting, but it's none of our business,
Right.
really.
It's like, does that change anything?
No. Well, what would change is even if he didn't do anything wrong, even if they can't find any broken law, they're going to bash him with that money anyway because he's made so much or he's used all the loopholes in the tax law. They're going to take whatever is in there and they're going to beat him
Yeah,
for the next 6 months with it.
That's a great point, Aaron. You feel like the Democrats maybe see this as a win-win because if they actually get it, they can say, oh my gosh, look, there's this tiny little loophole thing that he used for taxes. And then if there's nothing, they're like, well, look, he's not worth as much as he said he was.
Yeah, and this is kind of thing that undermines their impeachment effort because you look at it as just the next thing in the long list of things they've tried to do to smear Trump. So the tax thing has been going on for years, the Russia thing went on for years, the Ukraine thing, all of it kind of rolls together and they're just fishing for something that they can use as we get closer to 2020 as negative publicity. And so if this comes out, 6 months from now in the summer or whatever, they're just going to hammer it hard, and it's going to be all over the news. Trump is corrupt financially, Trump did this with his taxes or whatever, and he's going to be having to answer those questions. And so all they're doing is just trying to throw just everything they can throw at him, whether it's big or small, because they know they're on the disadvantage in terms of this upcoming election. And so whatever they can do to cut off a little bit of his support, it's worth it to them.
I think they call that throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Is that the saying? Or
That's the saying that I know. I don't know which one you're talking about. Last word.
Look, I just did what I was talking about, which is there's really good documented evidence that Trump did both of those things, right? But it's hard to take it seriously. And, what is the outcome of a case like that? Let's just say he did inflate his values when it benefited him and depressed them when it didn't. What that would be is likely a fine. Right. So okay, would he have to pay a couple $100,000 in fines to get rid of that problem? Probably. And again, it's a corporation, not necessarily him and all these things. But the issue is for a couple $100,000 fine, they're not looking for the fine. They're looking to get that information so they can be spilled all over the place and they can target this guy again. It's impossible to take it seriously anymore.
Yeah. All right. More to come. Back in a minute. I also okay, if you want all of his records, let's see Nancy Pelosi's and Adam Schiff's and everyone else who... Before we get back into the conversation, we want to thank our sponsor, Black Rifle Coffee Company. I am especially thankful for Black Rifle Coffee Company because they have a roast that is double the caffeine, which actually keeps me awake literally right now. It's the only reason that I am sitting upright and awake. Black Rifle is a veteran-owned and operated premium and small batch roast-to-order coffee company for people who love America, which is obviously you, why you're watching this show right now. They import only the highest quality beans from around the world and always roast their coffees for you after you place your order. They also have what's called Black Rifle Coffee Club, which I highly encourage you to get in on this. You get to pick which roasts, which batches you like. They've obviously got they've got light, dark, medium. Like I said, they've got the double caffeinated ones. They've got all these different roasts and blends. And so you pick it and then they deliver it to your door, however often you need it. And you get a special discounted price. So for those of you who drink coffee, this is like Christmas. Every single month you get your new coffee and you don't even have to go to the store. So you can go to, let's see, blackriflecoffee.com/news. Enter discount code news. You will get 20% off of your first order. And by the way, whenever you buy a bag or box of coffee, they donate a bag to service members overseas that will be delivered by Christmas. So you do something nice for the troops, also something nice for yourself. Keep yourself awake with blackriflecoffee.com/news, promo code news. So President Trump signed the first animal cruelty bill of his presidency on Monday, outlawing narrow types of egregious violence usually committed for the purpose of videotaping them. Now, this was bipartisan effort, apparently, bipartisan, bill. So, you've got criminal justice reform that was bipartisan, and now you've got animal cruelty reform that was bipartisan. So I am learning this as we go along because I was not aware that there is actually a sexual fetish called crushing that involves basically the torture of animals. I won't go into the specifics.
It's pretty clear though by the name.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It seems clear.
It is what you would think it was with that name, crushing. Here's the thing. That's bad. That should be outlawed. It should be a felony. Kudos to them. I just wish that we Americans had the same values and morals when it came to human life.
It's an interesting thought. Wouldn't
Isn't
that
it?
be weird? Yeah, that would be something that I would be interested in. Maybe a law that would prevent the crushing of particular skulls.
Yeah.
I'm obviously with you on that point. As America's only conservative vegetarian, I'm uniquely qualified to speak on such matters. Though I would say, I don't know necessarily that I would approach it as a federal law. I mean, it's every state has it illegal already. It's I don't know that we need another federal law. Just hard to disagree with hey, I don't want the kitty cats to die. But I think
If you were Glenn would say he does.
He does.
actually
Yeah, he
want-
does not. A
He
big
would.
kitty
He
cat
would
fan.
not. He would not be in favor of this animal cruelty bill.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's so bizarre, right? It goes down. It's so strange the way we think about these things. I mean, people will get very upset about someone killing a cat, but are fine with abortion, even late-term abortion in many ways. We treat different types of animals we're fine with.
Yeah.
It's very strange. We see this around the world with different cultures. You're like, oh my God, that's disgusting. They eat horses there. And they're oh my God, they eat cows. It doesn't. It's just we're weird with all this stuff. But we should be able to unite on not wanting to harm innocent creatures, right? And this means not just animals that are adorable, but also little adorable fetuses that grow into adorable babies. They should be protected too, and that should not be a crazy thing to say in America.
I mean, think about how they frame it to where they call this crushing when it's coming to a mouse or something, but when it comes to abortion, the terms that they use for it are so innocent and so obscuring. So if you talked about abortion in the same way that you talk about this animal cruelty stuff, maybe public opinion would be a little bit different, but it's framed in such a way to where it's not even like you're talking about the same thing.
That's a great point, especially when you have media. Pat, what are the terms that they use for a heartbeat instead of saying heartbeat when it comes to
it was
fetus?
a fetal
It's
pulse.
Yeah,
Was it a pulse?
yeah, fetal pole cardiac activity or something.
Yeah.
It's
It's unbelievable.
it's really
As
crazy.
many words as you can put between that and actual calling it life, this is what they do.
Embryonic pulse, a flicker.
And like Stu, I'm mostly vegetarian.
Are you?
Yeah, I
didn't know that
am.
about you.
I mean,
Breaking
other
news.
than a little bit of fish,
Okay.
some chicken,
Oh.
pork products, bacon, ham, sausage,
Okay.
steak, hamburgers, roast, beef jerky, pretty much any kind of beef, deer, venison.
Oh.
Yeah, I like venison. But most animals I don't eat. No bear at all. I've never eaten a lion. I mean, there are millions of species I've not eaten. So I think I can speak directly to this as well.
Mostly vegetarian.
As a mostly
It's
vegetarian.
what they call a liberal vegetarian.
Yes. It's despicable. I mean, to hear the sickness that exists, I had never heard of this until you just mentioned it.
I know. I hadn't either. Apparently,
Wow.
it's a thing.
I mean, but this is the reaction to everybody. You could be subscribed to 12 different crushing websites, and everyone says, I've never heard of this until today. I don't know. I mean, there's no one who comes out, yeah, I've heard about it. It's really interesting. Let me show you some videos. I've got them saved in my favorites. That's not a thing that happens.
No, it isn't. No.
Well, it might.
Someone's
in
gotta be
crushing communities.
Maybe,
It might,
maybe.
Sue.
But isn't it amazing that we can, like you said, we can get together on that, but no other issue. Not just abortion, but
Anything else.
Any issue that's plaguing us. Only animals.
Yeah. All right. Back in a minute.
Alligator, I've eaten very little of that.
Don't forget, if you have not yet subscribed to Blaze TV, we do this little thing here called Overtime that you are not able to see if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or any of those streaming services. You got to go to blazetv.com. You can use promo code NEWS and get $10 off of your annual subscription. Coming up in Overtime, we're going to talk about Bernie Sanders' tax plan. He only wants to tax the rich, is the thing. He just wants to tax the rich, super wealthy. Everyone else will be covered or not. Also on Blaze TV, YouTube, Chad Prather, if you did not catch the Jeffrey Epstein expose, he also has that. It's a three-parter. So it started yesterday, and it's again tonight, and then on Wednesday will be the finale, the conclusion. You got to go check it out if you missed it last night. And then again, it's airing tonight, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go check it out on Blaze TV. And also check us out on Overtime, which is starting next. We'll see you guys there.
Dun, 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 dun.